Potential problems for Hellmuth on the turn as a queen rolls off. Dwan checks, and a quick check back from Hellmuth, who I think is just going to look to call the end. Although now with queens full, maybe he'll have some other ideas. I think we're going to get a greased up deck here.
No, I just mean we're not. We don't see the bowls, the rice bowls,
right,
and the
utensil-based edibles. 9-7-5 with a couple of hearts here. Both players blocking one another's straight draws as they sit on queen high. It was 1300 pre. The 8 of hearts on the turn is going to pair Hellmuth and give Dwan the straight with a straight flush redraw.
Yeah, I like Tom going ahead and seeking value here. Lots of one pair hands that can call, lots of flush draws, straight draws that can call as well.
A double check from Hellmuth there. And I believe the straight flush has just come in.
I believe it has.
For Dwan.
4,200.
Eager to get as much money in as they can, whereas when you bet this size, usually this is all you're getting in. But I think he knows Phil's not the kind of guy who's going to turn a 9 into a bluff when check 2, and it's just better to seek the value. So I like the play, and Phil makes a good
I
fold.
almost called you with an 8.
With an 8?
An 8.
There's a lot of cards that beat an 8 out there.
I know.
Oh, the first big pocket pair, if we can call it that.
Yeah, I think the 10s qualify, especially heads up.
And
Tom content to check back king 4 suited, which is a pretty strong hand.
Especially on a 2-club board where he's got a flush draw. The 10's nestling between the jack and the 9. Second pair effective and probing for 600.
Less leading out from Tom this match thus far. I wonder if that's kind of a pre-game decision for him.
2,500.
And instead of the lead, it is a check raise to 2,500.
And you'll see here with 10s, this is the kind of hand that if Tom were to, in an alternate universe, limp 10s on the button, he would probably check a hand like this back. Not wanting to bloat the pot, keep in dominated hands, keep in like air that's folding.
Gut shot straight draw picked up for Dwan to add outs.
And not to mention that, 9x just got a little bit weaker, 3x just got a little bit weaker. It's tempting to continue bluffing here. Phil, of course.
Very quick call from Hellmuth of the 5,200. Unimproved on the river. That third club shows up and now gives Dwan the winner with 16,600 in the middle.
So going for a check raise is a risky proposition. You're not going to induce a lot of bluffs. So unsurprising to me, Tom decides to just bet to seek his value. 10-5 of hearts, which actually Hellmuth blocks. So I think his hand makes a calling hand. He feels the same way.
Good laydown.
He hit a 9. I trapped him again.
Phil, he leverages his image, and he does it in a couple of ways. He does it with these large bets and raises with an extremely polarized range, and actually I feel like I've seen mostly bluffs in these matches when he's just going really big. And then also he does it with a lot of protection raises. You'll see him call, like limp call in position and then flop middle pair and make a big raise on the flop.
Well, here he is with top pair on a 10-7-4 board where he had the better of the 2 kings pre-flop and picks up a flush draw of his own on the turn after Dwan made it 2,600 on the button. Hellmuth check called to 3,600 against the king high flush draw.
And Tom's thinking,
top pair, and now he's got the nut flush draw.
Yeah, Phil's loving his spot. He's loving his hand. Tom's thinking, I bet big enough on the flop that Phil's going to fold a lot of his ace highs. So this ace is a pretty nice card for me to represent. Phil's not going to hit it too often. His 4-5 hands and his 7-6 hands are going to be uncomfortable.
I'm going to raise.
We'll see how he elects to proceed.
9,600 more.
He goes with the min raise.
How much?
20,000.
No.
Oh, sorry, 19,200.
Thank you.
And a pretty, interesting to say the least, line here by Phil.
Specifically looking to check min raise the 9,600 from Dwan, and this is the largest pot these two have played thus far in the match.
but he does have a king-high flush draw. And he's asking himself, do I just take the price I'm being laid and see a river? Which is what he likes to
Very
do.
likely to check the river here. Who knows?
Very interesting, revealing information mid-hand.
Well, black card on the end, and
Where Phil takes
Tens
such an
with the king.
unorthodox line. I don't blame Tom for checking this back.
So I'll ride up to the game, which is an hour, hour and a half in the car, ride back. And of course, I own the team, so you get to hear what's happening.
get to park
It's
up
fun,
close.
It really connects you,
Hellmuth has friends in high places out in the Bay Area and beyond, including the owner of the Golden State Warriors. Queen high is not in a high place here. Up against trip kings, and Dwan will flat. Oh, and potential problems for Hellmuth on the turn as a queen rolls off. Dwan checks, and a quick check back from Hellmuth, who I think is just going to look to call the end. Although now with queens full, maybe he'll have some other ideas.
So Tom trying to
1200.
figure out how he can get 2 bets in at least. Goes for the check because he doesn't expect to get raised very often when he bets. And Phil goes with one of these milky bets, begging to get raised. He's going to get his wish.
Ambitiously looking to check raise.
And when Phil
Also
bets
be
this
there.
small, he's kind of saying he has ace high. So when he gets raised, he can get raised by a queen for value. Especially at this sizing, I don't think Phil's going to be able to talk himself into laying this hand down. But he's surprised me before. He's made great reads.
Fold.
Wow. That's unbelievable. And I mean, that's the kind of play that we've seen Phil make throughout these matches.
Well, he's finally got something.
That he does. If Hellmuth were to spring to life with a limp re-raise here, that would be some evidence to the contrary of the idea that he has a read on Tom. Does seem like he's thinking about it.
21,000.
Oh, now, finally, at long last, Dwan being given the opportunity. And how will he approach it? Because obviously the last thing he wants is to put the 4-bet in there and have that snap Hellmuth shove it all into the middle situation.
Tom's in an awkward spot with his stack size. A shove is pretty big to put in the rest here. But you can't fold 10s.
I believe this is the biggest pot of the match pre-flop.
It is, and
Hellmuth flops himself a 7 now to potentially get himself into a little bit of trouble.
a little bit of trouble, but in some ways, this could be getting him out of trouble. Might not have.
Check.
Does go for the check.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
Provide some relief.
Yeah, Hellmuth playing his hand as if he has a hand like ace, king, ace, queen.
Mm-hmm.
Tom not seeking value yet. Let's see if Hellmuth starts to or lays the trap. He does go for the bet that he already had cut out.
Fold, call, raise.
Well, he doesn't want to raise because it's not accomplishing much. It's just kind of pure protection. You're not getting called by worse. But as far as fold and call, he's asking himself, okay, if Phil's bluffing, why didn't he bluff the flop? So he might think that Phil's likely to be value betting. But that said, Phil could be value betting a hand like 6s. Phil could be protecting.
37.
So that check back on the flop might actually aid these 10s into the muck correctly.
Trips.
Tom does pay him off. He's gonna get the bad news. Yeah, Tom just couldn't quite figure. It's such a strange line,
Yeah.
Tens. I was so worried you
and
had
you don't put him
nines.
on the 7 so often with a pre-flop limp re-raise.
Lucky for me.
At what point would you imagine that Hellmuth can begin to sort of lean more heavily, if not now?
King 10 offsuit's a pretty good hand here in Tom's button limping range, and he is going to take a flop with it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, the timing is just uncanny.
Not a lot of wins here for Tom, and he might not get the chance to realize that 14% equity.
Check.
Well, let's see how he elects to proceed. Taking the passive approach, which is going to serve him well here. And Tom thinks that he just turned the nut flush draw, when in fact he's drawing dead to Phil Hellmuth's steel wheel.
6-7.
You know, Phil's firing out the small bet on a board where a 3 makes a straight. What is Phil representing? He's representing like ace-queen. And so Tom could even be tempted to start bluffing now. He doesn't, fortunately for him. And also,
now
fortunately
wheel
for
shows
him.
up on the board.
Well,
Phil.
yeah. You're right. Unfortunately for him. I was going to say, fortunately for him, the flush doesn't come in because all the money goes in at that point.
Right.
All the money still could go in. Holding the king of clubs is valuable here because you're going to see traps from strong flushes.
Straight flush.
Tom could have gone broke that hand in a number of different ways. Hellmuth limps in with ace-king. Ooh, and we're going to see some chips fly here. 8-8 in the big blind for Tom. Sitting on 35 big blinds. Makes the standard raise. And what are we going to see out of Phil?
All in.
Does go for
Oh,
the jam.
boy.
And we've seen Tom just puts it in quickly.
Ace king.
I was going to say, we've seen Hellmuth with a lot of light 3-bets. We haven't seen him with the light all-in pre.
You think you're going to win it or lose it?
If I hit an 8, I think I'm going to win.
Oh, fuck.
Good start.
And perhaps
Me.
one final indignation in the cards for Tom Dwan on what has been a brutal affair. The turn, no help to him, and it is 2 outs just once for Durr. Otherwise, Hellmuth will avenge his round 2 loss and put the ball squarely back in Durr's court. Mission complete. Phil Hellmuth
Good match.
back on top, taking down the $400,000 match and perhaps leaving Tom Dwan with a restless evening ahead of him.
Yeah,